Very bad news, you guys. Very bad news. And the bad news is Randy's joining me. No, that's not it. He's joining me to talk about the bad news. But you can let me know in the comments if that's just bad news itself. Who knows? I mean, his shirt is not too loud today, but it's loud enough. There are a lot of key things going on in the world that could negatively impact Tesla. You know, Honda has got some big moves coming in the US, Toyota, big moves in China, Nissan and the Honda merger, that could be a big thing. Chevy Blazers going guns a-blazing, and charging networks. Who knows? Ferrari might even make a guest appearance. We've got a lot to cover. Let's get into it. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. Randy, how was that for an intro?
Wow. Very cool. And you read it so well.
I've had my coffee, is what I guess you could say. Don't know if you caught this one. This is kind of interesting. Honda bets big on Ohio for EV production with a $1 billion investment.
Wow. What are they going to do with $1 billion? They're going to
build half a factory.
Half a factory.
The process involves reimagining production process at the Marysville Auto Plant, part of a larger Honda EV hub in Ohio. Do they have an EV hub? Because right now Hondas are made by GM, at least for their electric vehicles. Also true of the Acura sub-brand, also made by GM. I saw the Honda Prologue on the road yesterday. I asked my kids, look at that. That's a Honda. And they go, that's a Honda? I go, doesn't look like one? They go, no. I go, yeah, it's a Chevy with CarPlay. So that's great. Chief designer said, we are really revitalizing 40 years of history of manufacturing in North America to be able to get 40 more years out of a legacy site like this. So it's fantastic.
So they're investing $1 billion into an existing building.
Yes. And they're going to do another $3.5 billion for a battery plant. Hopefully that's an appropriate amount of money, I think.
Yeah.
If anything, maybe a little high. Honda ready for automation. So this, to me, and aluminum battery packs, I don't know what we're doing here, but I think this is a step in the right direction. Does this mean they're going to become a leader in the space?
Well, so, it all comes back to what we talk about, for years now, is that these different companies can continue to do things like use an existing building or existing infrastructure in order, rather than going to a greenfield. They're using these existing buildings, existing lines, existing processes. Now, this article seems to suggest that they think that they're really starting from scratch, and maybe they're trying to copy the unbox process, or maybe they've got yet another way that they think would be new and innovative. But so far, we haven't seen it. I mean, Honda, had a really significant reputation for many, many, many years as being an innovator.
I'm with you on all of it. It sounds like this is not retrofitting an existing building. It's just adding a building to an existing site. And it sounds like they are going to be doing a new process. I don't think Unboxed is quite Honda ready just yet. This is encouraging news. I don't think it's earth-shaking. I don't think it's going to save Honda, but I also don't think it will doom them. But if we look at the other Japanese players, we've got Toyota to set up a wholly owned EV battery unit in China. That's a weird move because
that is a very weird move,
because China is very good at making batteries affordably and reliably. And they will wholly own a company in Shanghai to develop and produce EV batteries for the Lexus brand. So we're talking about 100,000 units a year. I don't know. I think, what do you think? Should they buy the batteries or build them themselves?
That's another one of those deals. I've been in that position. As I don't know if I've talked about it on your channel. I certainly talked about it on my channel. I wrote an article for Inc. magazine years ago called Virtual to Vertical, because I had taken my plant from virtual to vertical. And when you're making that decision, whether you want to become vertical or not, you really have to take into consideration whether you're going to be so much better at making it than an existing manufacturer that your actual costs will be less than you'd be able to negotiate, with the existing manufacturers, or you have a processor as something that you need that's, again, going to give you some advantage. And it's rare. It's rare, especially in something like batteries right now, that you would be able to be better than CATL, better than better than
BYD.
BYD, and just go down the list, of about five major battery manufacturers that would all be happy to sell to Toyota. I'm pretty sure.
I would be more excited if this partnership was in conjunction with Panasonic, another Japanese company. I don't know that Toyota has the expertise. If we've seen anything from Tesla and really all the manufacturers, is that spooling up these new high precision battery manufacturing systems is very difficult.
Pretty hard.
And I don't believe it's remotely within their core competencies. Fine. I should mention that Nissan has rejected Honda's merger terms, putting the deal in peril. They'd announced the plan in December. Mitsubishi was like, "Hey, you guys look like you're partying. Can I join the party?" And they're like, "Well, it's more of a negotiation of a party. We're trying to figure out our safe word." Nissan's board is planning to reject Honda's terms. Now, I had a theory on this. I shared this with an EV guy yesterday. I didn't get permission to mention who it was, but I said, I think the merger plan is to create a company that's too big to fail. The Honda, Nissan, Mitsubishi merger would make them as big as Toyota-ish, but certainly too big to fail. And he said, no, I don't think it's that at all. I think it's the government saying, I need you to be too big to fail. You kids don't like each other, but I need you to get along. What say you?
Well, first of all, I would say that I saw a different headline, and the other headline said that Honda rejected. So there you go. Who knows who rejected who? I don't know what's going to happen. The Honda plant in the United States. I mean, Toyota building in the United States. I mean, these are probably smart moves, but whether or not anybody is going to make it or not, they're so far behind. I just don't know if they can catch up.
The person said Nissan and Honda would continue their other collaboration that predates the merger talks, including collaboration on software and EVs. So we'll see. It's not, I would say it's definitely not dead yet, but we have called for a medic.
Yes.
Do you know that the Blazer is going to go EV only, as they're going to get rid of the gas model?
Wow.
Discontinuation will also reportedly affect its Cadillac siblings, the XT5 and 6. I think that's an interesting move. It is possible. We saw that GM is now, by one very narrow definition, profitable on their EVs.
Yeah.
It could be that they are more profitable than we realize, and that it's time to get serious.
Or possibly we've seen this movie before. We've had all these announcements about what Chevy's going to do.
Well, this is at the plant in Mexico. It is the only gas-powered car made at that factory. This is where they build the Equinox, the Optic, the Blazer EV, and the Honda Prologue. So I think there's an ounce of credibility to it. I'm excited for it. I hope it's true. Before we leave this very fun page, I wanted to show you, guys, if you don't know how steep the banks are on a racetrack, this is how steep they are. It is difficult to walk. And then, of course, you've got this very fun suburban limo, which probably goes 0 to 60, but I wouldn't guarantee it. Now, do you remember a few years back, we heard, before the North American charging standard was widely adopted, the car manufacturer said, look, we need to get serious. We need to form an alliance so that we can deploy chargers in a sane and reasonable way. We don't want to compete for the same corners. We want to have a network that actually stretches, that actually covers. Forget the profit motive. We'll figure it out. But what we need to do is get chargers in places that are also not profitable, because that will spur adoption, and that's how we're going to sell cars. And then we heard nothing. I recently interviewed the CEO of Electric Era, a charging company out of Seattle, and I asked him whatever happened with that. And he said, we haven't heard anything. And of all people, you'd think he'd hear.
Yeah.
So we finally got some news. Charging network begins in earnest I assume they mean Ernest goes to camp or Ernest goes to jail. It's got to be one of those two. Yeah. New charging network is a joint venture between GM and Hyundai. Oh, I thought it was more vehicles or more manufacturers than that. I see. GM, Honda, Toyota. There we go. That's more like it. It's and the Tesla supercharger network competitor is exiting public beta testing and entering full scale launch. They have to deploy more than 1,000 live charging bays by the end of 2025. Oh, they plan to.
I was going to have to.
They have to. I was like, wait, what? Why? No, taco. It's like a typo, but for speaking.
Yeah.
What do you think of this?
Yeah,
1,000 stalls by the end of this year is their plan.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, why? Why would you do it? I don't understand. I mean, I could understand if one of the companies decided that they wanted to do it for profit, but I don't think I'm having a hard time figuring out what the advantage is here. I know they're running into this issue. The issue is the perception of the consumer in America is it's difficult to get charged if you're not in a Tesla. But then Tesla says, okay, well, you can use our chargers. Well, maybe they don't want them to use their chargers because maybe they think that's a competitive disadvantage. But then where are you going to put these chargers? You're going to put them in places that people that would not be profitable.
Well,
how's that as a marketing theory?
It's not marketing for the chargers. They plan to lose money on the chargers. They plan to provide them so that people will be comfortable buying the cars.
Yes.
So it's, yeah, if it's like Michelin star restaurants. It's not about selling restaurants. It's about getting people to go on long drives so they buy tires.
I see. Yes. Yeah.
Now, people hate apps, and that's one big thing Electric Era had going for them is that they don't use an app. It's just tap to pay. You can use Google Pay, Apple Pay. You can use your credit card. Just tap to pay and you pay. And of course, Tesla has their network that runs through the car. It's brilliant. When I bought my Tesla, I went to a supercharger and was like, oh no, I don't know how to set up payment. And I plugged in and it just charged. And I was like, it used the card that I use for the deposit.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
What could be easier? Could there be an easier way?
If people are not happy using apps right now, they're really in trouble because
the company also announced a new partnership with Amazon to include the company's Just Walk Out technology in retail spaces at the chargers. It reads your plate.
Oh, okay.
I love it. That's even easier. Of course, when you loan the car to the kids and they juice it up and drive all the way across the country, that's something you can deal with separately, I imagine. And
so it reads your plate, and that's how you've set up. You still have to set up the credit card.
Well, yes, of course. But I mean, that's kind of true anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Last one we're doing here is Ferrari will launch 6 new cars in 2025, including its first EV. Now, these are beautiful, beautiful machines. You can argue it's not to your taste, but it's hard to argue that that's not a sensational design. But let's see if they've got a pic. Here we go. Let's go here. Their new electric car is a thing of beauty.
Yeah, well, it looks kind of same old, same old.
It looks same old. It looks like a car that you would unlock in Grand Theft Auto. It does not look like a Ferrari to me. So I am disappointed. I'm not mad, Randy.
Just disappointed.
I'm just disappointed. Yeah. Ferrari knows what they've done. Any closing thoughts apart from go visit Randy Kirk's channel and see what he's up to?
That'd be good. Yeah, well, Ferrari, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Ferrari needs to start making a lot of electric vehicles because eventually I think the vroom vroom thing is going to not be a thing. And people are going to be like, I want the fastest car. If I'm going to spend this much money, I actually want the fastest one, no matter what the engine sounds like.
Yes. And you can make it beautiful and fast. You can do both in an electric car. You don't have to have 4 doors. I don't know if someone told them that's a requirement, or if they just went to ChatGPT and said, show me a picture of an electric car. And they're like, it's got 4 doors. It's got 4 doors. All my training data says it's got 4 doors. So better put 4 doors on it. discouraging, but they can come around. It doesn't have to be as efficient or reliable as an everyday driver. These are extreme machines, but come on, Ferrari, with the margins you charge. And I went to Platt Auto this weekend. I test drove 4 different vehicles, and 2 or 3 of them had fake engine sounds. And yeah. And the Mach-E had fake engine sounds. The Jaguar, I think, did. And I think the VinFast did. I'm not sure now. But it, is convincing. If what you need is, it is convincing. The Ford one especially, because they've been doing it in their gas cars for years, adding cabin vroomy noises, which is just ridiculous. But hey, people, if it helps you sell cars, it's not an expensive feature. Just do it. Guys, in the comments, what did we miss? What do we misunderstand? Leave it. I can permit comments to be optional for a limited time only. It's a special offer. Subscribe if you haven't. What, half of you are not subscribed? If all of you subscribed, I'd be well over 100,000, trying to get there this year. And for that matter, if you feel so inclined, you are able to help me out in one of the many financial ways. I've got a video up on my channel showing all the travel I've already got scheduled for this year. It would be great to have a little support, not required. You know what to do. Everybody else, like, subscribe, stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots, when I trick this guy into coming back.